on the cloud.
Literally read it so many times. I'm reading it backwards now.
I think this is a good note for everybody out there.
He says that I don't pull well on TikTok, so
He doesn't.
It's
just a fact. It just doesn't pull well. It's called social media for a reason, and it's not selfish media.
I just gotta clear something up. You weren't the 12th man on the field.
There is no easy way to get anything ever.
This is Mornings with Matt, the Deering Acting Studio podcast, where we discuss the connection between life and acting.
Boom. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Mornings with Matt on the Deering Acting Studio podcast. I am Matthew Deering here with Joey Sweeney this morning.
Yup.
We are finishing up our discussion this week on emotions. And as per usual, we get to end with a bang here on emotional freedom, which is like sort of what we've been working our way up to.
Freedom!
And I don't know if the people can hear the bass from next door.
Definitely can.
You think so?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we got neighbors. We'll just talk about that here. I'm going to let my emotional freedom out. It's interesting that they haven't actually disrupted this show yet. This would be the first time at 7 a.m. that this has happened. I hear some loud bass next door.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
They are a Christian organization that is trying to inspire people to work out and be physically fit, which we encourage, and we hope them all the best in the world. We just wish they would turn their bass down.
The best thing is I remember you saying when they came in, you were like, because the place was open, and you were like, I just hope like some cool Christian business comes in, and he goes, workout studio wasn't exactly the thought because of the bass and
careful what you
music.
wish for.
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum. All right, so emotional freedom here. This is what we've been working up to this. Let's jump right in. I didn't turn off the music. All right. It doesn't matter because there's like constant music going on right now in the background. But let's jump right into our daily devotional. We've got 2 Corinthians 3:17. Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit is, there is freedom. So, in our journey, talking about emotions, we talked about identifying emotions. We talked about when to dismiss emotions. We talked about how big emotions can be very dangerous, but we also talked about how we can use big emotions to our advantage. We've been talking about emotional intelligence. We've been talking about the power of emotions and how you can attach that to activities or things you want to do, and then you can gain momentum. And we're going to be talking a lot about actions next week. Next week is all about actions. But the goal here, like the end goal of all of this is freedom. It's emotional freedom.
Freedom!
They may take our lives.
Yeah, there you go.
But they'll never take our freedom.
It's Matt's like favorite movie.
And then they're like ripping him open at the end, pulling his guts out. This is Braveheart. And they're just like, they're literally torturing this guy by pulling out his insides. Okay.
Ouch.
And they just need him to say, what do they want him to say? Something like mercy. They want him to say mercy. Just say the word mercy and the pain goes away and we'll stop torturing you. We'll kill you, but we're going to stop torturing because the torture is the worst, right?
Sure.
So we're going to stop torturing you. You just say mercy. And they keep torturing. Just say mercy. And then he's like, And then he stops. He's like, and all the crowd is like, whoops, shoot. All right. And all the crowd is watching and they're like, and the executioner guy goes like, all right, everybody, the prisoner wishes to say a word. And then Mel Gibson's like, freedom. It's amazing. Great movie. There's so many reasons why that's my favorite movie, actually. And part of it is the emotional roller coaster, which every good movie should take you on. All right. So the end goal of us working through our emotions is to come to a place where we finally discover the joys of emotional freedom. Now, to be completely free, we need to be in a place of truth. And this is where the God part of this comes in. Okay. So in Corinthians here, it's saying, now the Lord is the Spirit, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. So as you turn to goodness, as you turn to God, as you turn to truth, okay, God is the Word, God, and the Word is the light is the truth. Like, God is truth, God is love. So as you turn to goodness, as you turn to truth, as you turn to the Spirit that's inside of you, that's telling you what's right, as you turn that way, there is a freedom that you feel.
I am the way, the truth, the light.
And that's right.
Verse, yeah.
That's right. And so as you turn to the truth, you can then become emotionally free. And that means every emotion. I can cry for truth. I can scream angrily for truth. I can be passionate about truth. I can be very loving about truth. I mean, there's so many ways to express fully through truth. Now there is only one truth through the Bible, if you're a believer in that. But the worldly truth, the truth of this world that is human, is an ever evolving thing. I've talked about that before. So knowing that, you want to be seeking truth, and part of the idea of getting to truth is the act of seeking it. Because then you're in a place of constant motion.
Seeking the truth, and you have to be going to the emotional side of it. You have to be open. You have to be honest.
Yeah.
If you're feeling off, if you're feeling some sort of way, you have to air it out.
Right. And this is a misconception here of actors and even just the general public. When you hear about somebody being emotionally free, the first thing you think about is tears. Like, oh, that person's emotionally free. Oh, they can cry. They cry all the time. These are not facts. Another thing you think about when you think of somebody being emotionally free is that they might be erratic or loud or even insane. Somebody's just saying emotionally free. Because why? Because the world, society has told us to hide your emotions, to mask your emotions, to control your emotions. And even the Bible at times says, be in control of be aware of your emotions, beware of your emotions. And yes, that is true. But emotional freedom is different.
Yeah.
Emotional freedom is not erratic. It is not something that is panicky, etc. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I remember I was filming one of our students who's going to the NFL, and it was probably his second month taking classes. And when I was out there filming, he was like, yeah, I go to an acting studio, like I'm starting to act. And that was the first thing they said was like, all right, cry. And because of being around you, that got me so mad.
Right.
And so I literally told the guy, I was like, well, that's not what it means to be an actor.
Well, I'm glad you did that. And part of our job is to educate the world on acting, because it's gotten a bad rap, and it should have gotten a bad rap. Honestly, acting deserves to have a bad rap right now.
Bad rap.
Bad rap. Because a lot of people have done it wrong.
Yeah.
They've taught it wrong. They've done it wrong. They've abused it. You see, the funny different shows and things about like these acting classes that do weird stuff. And it's true. There's a lot of acting classes out there that are just surface. There's also been a lot of scammers out there who have taken people's money, like lots of people's money, and claimed to be able to make them rich and famous, and you're the one, and you're the star, and the scammers have been crazy. Obviously, there's been some very negative things revolving around like casting and like, you know, bringing people in and deceiving them in certain ways. So acting's gotten a bad rap for a reason. But once you understand it, I'm so glad you felt that way, because once you understand it deeply, you are offended when someone says, basically, dance, puppet, dance, you know?
Yeah,
Oh, you're an improviser. Tell me a joke.
exactly.
You have no idea what improv is. Tell me a joke. Okay.
Tell me a joke.
I'm an actor. Cry. Can you cry?
Yeah.
Yeah, so can you.
Well, and there, like, it was also just the way it was said was like nasty.
Exactly.
And I'm like,
that's what I mean. It's dance, puppet, dance.
it's a legit thing, all right? Acting is a legit thing.
Right. It's like this challenge. Like, okay, well, let me see you do it. You know?
Yeah.
Stop it. All right. So let's get back to freedom here. As a matter of fact, you know what, Joey? Why don't we take a brief commercial break? We'll come back. We will discuss further about freedom and a quick takeaway. But on this commercial break, I'm going to go next door and exercise my emotional freedom to get us to turn down this bass.
Sounds good.
All right.
Well, my experience with Phoenix casting has been pretty much legit. Like ever since I started like modeling and acting, I've been coming here.
If you're an actor in Arizona, you need to know about the Deering Acting Studio. You need to get here. They'll make you feel like you belong.
Where there's a will, there's a way. So I think it's great that you guys are continuing to innovate, not just resting back and saying, oh, this is just the way it is. And in these days, because of virtual casting, some of these big projects that are on either coastline, now a lot of actors have the opportunities to at least submit.
It was so uplifting and encouraging, and it's such a refreshing sense to get as an actor, to be uplifted and encouraged and taught to do that to everybody that you're in a scene with.
We always recommend Deering Acting Studios just because we know how important it is to hone your skills and hone your talent and always be practicing. And it's like a sport, you know, you have to go in and practice. You can't just jump into something and think you're going to be a star. So
What I learned about during this workshop is to be yourself and to not to be afraid to be yourself and be authentic.
And that's one thing I got to say about you guys, and you guys have been amazing. When our team submits, you know, it's like you guys give us really a great selection at audition. And so I think that's great, and I appreciate the opportunities you give our talent.
Do yourself a favor, come down to Deering to Phoenix Casting. You won't regret it. These guys are great. So accommodating. It's a fun, lively, always a great time. So no stress, come down and knock it out of the park. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Your lives will all be changed and you'll grow if you really learn to listen in this way.
Will you help me kill her?
You have to react to that from his point of view as honestly as possible.
Punch him in the face.
As soon as you've solved the puzzle, the scene's over.
Now
We are back, and it sounds so nice here.
Oh man.
They may take our lives, but they will never take our freedom. I don't know.
They may play their music.
I ended up
but they
getting
will
Russian.
never play
That's
it
again.
during our show.
All right, so back to freedom here. Okay. Freedom is a God-given right. This is why the United States of America is so great, because in God we trust. It's how we were founded. But that right of freedom is something that must be respected.
Mm-hmm.
You have God gives you the right of freedom to then choose him. And as you don't, you start to lose those freedoms.
Yup.
So I'm going back into this, and it's not like every actor or every person is going to be choosing God all the time. And a lot of people don't even like to use the word God. I understand that. But there is something inside of us. There's something, I was like, I thought I did it. I didn't do it. That's all right. So there is something inside all of us that is undeniable, that there's something bigger than who you are. It just is. Like, even the atheists will admit this. They'll say, well, yeah, there's something bigger than me. I just don't believe in a God. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's the idea of body, and then consciousness, and then spirit, and all that stuff. So it exists, right?
Well, and I've talked about this quite a bit with Brian and you, and I think I might have mentioned it a couple of times on the show, but I've ran into these conversations where people will be like, all right, well, there's bad people in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if everybody has God in them, why are there bad people in the world? And my interpretation is this, and that is, we all have a conscience that comes from the Holy Spirit guiding you, right?
Yeah.
But as you choose, like you said, to not listen to that, the voice gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and it becomes something that you no longer hear, or you choose not to hear.
For sure. So here's another quote here, or here's a first quote of the day that will kind of help us set this up. Theodore Roosevelt said,
Teddy!
No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah, Teddy.
Good job, Teddy. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So therefore, how could I possibly know how much you care? I say this all the time. If you don't tell me, if you don't emotionally connect to whatever it is, how can you be offended that I, did something that I didn't even know you cared about?
Yeah.
Right? But if you express how much you care and you emotionally connect to it, most people, I believe, are good people.
Yeah.
They don't want to do bad things.
100%.
So as soon as they understand, like, oh, this is really important to you. Even if I disagree, why would I ever bring it up? I'm not going to talk about something that offends you because I don't want to hurt anybody. I think most people don't want to hurt other people. Right?
I agree. Yeah.
And so one of the things that's happening right now is, and this is the world. I am going to speak about the world for 1 second, because it's important for us to understand what this idea of emotional freedom is and how we need to get there. So beyond all the issues that are going on right now, and there's a lot of issues going on, beyond all the noise, I'm not alone when I say one of, if not the biggest issue that we face right now is the lack of conversation.
I agree.
The lack of sitting down and having a conversation, having a disagreement without it turning into a fight or worse.
Mm-hmm.
People need to be able to disagree. They need to be able to emotionally disagree. They need to be able to have strong opinions that people can then hear all the sides. And hopefully, as we said, the truth moves. Find a better, greater truth that people can compromise on. That's good. What's happening, however, is and this is from every angle, both sides. I'm not taking a side on anything. What's happening is freedom, the idea of having a conversation, of having speech, of telling both sides of the story, is getting squashed.
Yep.
It's being smashed, and it's being criticized so heavily that people are afraid to speak what they feel is their emotional truth. So they don't have the freedom of expression. They don't have an emotional freedom attached to their ideas. Therefore, they become compressed.
Totally.
So if you think about the people becoming compressed, think of it like a spring. And they're pushing the spring down, pushing the spring down, pushing the spring down. And eventually, when it lets go, it's going to explode. And that's the problem. That's the real worry right now, is that there's going to be an explosion of some kind
For sure.
Because people are not talking, and they're not talking about the truth, and they're not having real intelligent conversations about the truth.
Well, and the other thing is I feel like we've hit a point where it's like you said, it's not I have an opinion anymore. It's more, all right, which side of the fence am I on? And let me recycle the information from that side of the fence.
100%.
And that's the saddest part for me is I actually really enjoy intelligent conversation about opinions and where you stand on something. And I've been moved plenty of times, and I've moved other people plenty of times.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like the same information gets recycled, and depending on which side you stand on is what you see and what you relate to. But I'm like, no, I want to hear like what you have to say. I don't want to hear what the person in politics has to say necessarily all the time.
You can reference them.
Yeah.
And then go, based on this is my opinion. Do you have something to refute that?
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, great. If you don't, great. And then you kind of move forward from that place. But I'm with you. Like, I love hearing an opposing opinion that's strong and that's really good. This happened to me just the other day, and I was like, oh, interesting. And the first thing I do immediately is I hear what I heard, which may be new information or repeat information from somebody that spoke to me in such a way that was respectful, which makes me respect the opinion more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I go and I research, and I'm like,
yeah,
cool. Am I wrong? Let me see if I'm wrong. Let me look into this and see what are the facts potentially to back up that argument. Because I don't want to be naive.
Yeah.
I would love to jump into that.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore there lies the idea of every fringe idea, actually, anything that you think is crazy, that you think is some kind of conspiracy or whatever. It's like, okay, let me prove it wrong. Let me, why are people saying that? Sounds crazy. Cool. Let me look it up. Let me see. But here's what's happening. As parents, oftentimes kids are what I would call oppressed. They're told, and the parents don't mean to do this, but they're told, don't cry. Stop feeling that way. You're in a timeout. Go sit isolated, and you're not allowed to have your opinion in this way. Now, some of that parenting is good, and some of it is not. Then you go to school, and the same thing happens. It's sit still, look forward, do what you're told, don't speak out, don't have a different opinion than me, your authority figure, the teacher. And not every teacher's like this, obviously, but these are the sort of the rules. The rules are the buzzer comes, everybody has to follow the rules, and everybody sits still, and you're not encouraged to freely speak or feel.
Yeah.
And so you're oppressed in a certain way. But having said that, there's a lot of good, obviously, that comes from education. So there's the other side of that argument that's easy to make. So it makes sense. But the idea of oppression, you can see how easy it is to do that.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about every society who has sort of, collapsed of sorts or turned into some kind of a dictatorship of the past, the first thing they do is they try to oppress the people. And the first way to oppress the people is to stop them from feeling.
Yeah.
So they take away speech. They take away religion. They take away things that cause people to feel. And like, you're not allowed to feel that way. So they strip people of those rights, or the feeling that you have those rights, to be free, to be emotionally free.
Yeah.
And this is, at the end of the day, what we're doing here. Interestingly, has nothing to do with the world, has nothing to do with politics or anything else. We've been doing this since 2007. Helping people become emotionally free on the stage. And the only way to do that is to help them become emotionally free in their lives. To start breaking down the bricks and the walls that they put around themselves to make themselves feel like they're not allowed to do this stuff. Well, you are. You're allowed to feel, and you should feel. And you should also go through the process. And you should be aware of big feelings. You should beware of big feelings. But then you know how you can use those feelings. I mean, feelings are so important. and then understand where they come from. They come from your thoughts. And how do I, you know, get myself in a place where I can use these feelings for my own benefit and for the benefit of the world. So be very wary of people who are trying to oppress yours or anybody else's feelings. Ask why. Why is that happening?
Yeah.
We must be able to express, to create. The idea of art is so important. And that's what we have to keep creating. We have to keep expressing, and art needs to be created that tells hopefully every side of the story.
Yeah.
And works really hard toward getting to truth.
Well, and that's the big difference is if you are being fed information that doesn't tell the whole side of the story, of course you're going to feel a certain way. And that's the big problem.
Right.
Because the whole idea of news or just getting information in general is, let me hear about everything that happened, gather all the facts, as you would say, then let me formulate an opinion based on that and where my morals are and what I would do if I was in that situation, yada, yada, yada. But without that, of course, you're going to fall on whatever side they're painting the picture of.
Mm-hmm.
And I fall guilty of that. Sometimes I'll read something from like what's known to be a credible source, and I'll be like, dang, that is messed up.
Right.
And then 2 weeks later, I see something and I'm like, how did they not tell me that? I talked to 4 people about that story that I read, and they didn't tell me the truth.
And this is where like our friend Paul comes in when he says, don't get too high, too low. So that the thing to start to train yourself on is, oh man, like that makes me really mad if that's true.
Yeah.
Add the if that's true. Oh man, I'm really disappointed in that human being if that's true. If that's what really happened, boy, that's a real, bummer. That's real sad if that's really what happened. But until I have all the facts, I'm not going to go and persecute until I know all the facts.
Facts.
So to be creative, to be free, essential. There's a quote from Bruce Lee. To live is to express, and to express, you have to create. Creation is never merely repetition. To live is to express oneself freely in creation. Bruce Lee. I'll say this again. To live is to express. Okay, expression. That's what we're doing. That is how we're connecting acting to life. Joey says that every morning. We talk about the connection between life and acting. It's the opening of every show. So here he says, to live is to express. So you can't live without expressing. Those two are hand in hand. And to express, you have to create, which means you got to do. Which means, going back to what Joey was saying, you can't just be one of the people that are only like receiving information. You need to create and be a part of the process. Creation is never merely repetition. We talked about this, the power of repetition. And yet, even when we're doing repetition, especially when we're doing it correctly, it can never be actually repeated, actually perfect. It's never merely repetition. To live is to express oneself freely in creation. You must be free. So here's your big takeaway. Here's your takeaway from the whole week. Be true to yourself. And sometimes that's going to mean, especially in the world we are right now, and I understand, because I understand there is a tension right now. So being true to yourself might just mean being quiet for a minute. That's okay. That doesn't mean that you're not free on the inside. But be true to oneself and be honest. Look for honesty. Look for truth. Seek truth. And you will find it. And then from there, look for opportunities to be free, to create freely, to start making expression in such a way that inspires and uplifts this planet. Try your hardest not to be a contributor to the negativity.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just soak up the negativity, but instead find things that are inspiring, and hopefully then you will be a part of the process of making an adjustment out of where we are now and into a place where we are constantly looking for ways to lift each other up rather than looking for ways, seeking ways to bring each other down. You are an artist, all of you, every person. I don't care if you're an actor, doctor, lawyer, teacher, student, veterinarian. You're an artist. You are a creator, because as Bruce Lee says, to live is to create. You have to. So that is you. You are a creator. John Wooden, I love this quote: "Make every day your masterpiece." He says it like it's a Michelangelo painting. Make every day your masterpiece. Start the day thinking that way. If I were to paint today and have it be like, this is the day I want everyone to remember me by, what does that picture look like? And you'll never get there. That's the funniest and craziest and most wonderful thing, is you'll never get to the masterpiece, but you strive for it. And your goal should be every day, how do I make today my masterpiece? And if you can do that, you will be living emotionally free, you will be happier, and you will be a part of the movement that is changing this world back to positivity and love. Thank you so much for tuning in. I sure appreciate everybody being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, help us spread this light-driven content to the planet. God bless.
Thanks for listening to Mornings with Matt. Please like, subscribe, and follow us at Deering Acting Studio to keep up with the latest content. For more information on classes, private lessons, or professional development coaching, visit www.deeringstudio.com. Have a Deering day, everyone.
Have a chippy day, everyone. Rough.